Om Jai Kali, Om Jai Chamunda, Om Jai Kamakya. Namaste. And you can open your eyes. Just have a sip of tea. I've had laryngitis, so I'm just coming out of that. So forgive me if I have a little croaky voice here and there. So, welcome. And this is a remembrance. This session this evening is a remembrance, a return to the self. What does that mean? We're not taking our presence here lightly. It's something inside of you that has brought you here to this session this evening. So it might have been a whisper. It may have been a curiosity. It might be a scream. Not necessarily for more information, because we can get information anywhere, but for transformation. And that's the big difference, is information is available all over the place. But to actually take that information and have it transform you is a whole other situation. And it's not to fix you, but it's to remember who the hell you are. It's to bring you back to that authenticity, that authentic self. Now, before I begin this, I want to say this isn't a fluffy feel-good workshop. It's not about pretending to be spiritual or polished or perfect. It's about burning through bullshit. It's returning to your power, your truth, and your wholeness. Yeah? I'm not here to preach. I'm here as a woman who's walked through all sorts of life situations. I've been to hell as well, but I found my way back. I found my way home. Home, the home, not the home that I live in, not the place of my culture or my background or my family, far from any of that actually. The home in myself. So that means wherever I go and whatever I'm in, I'm home, I'm safe, I'm in my power. And that's what we want to cultivate. We don't want to feel we have to be a particular place. You know, you can spend your whole life moving house, but you're taking the same shit with you everywhere you go. You want to really, really bring that into yourself, that stability, that sense of who you are. So it hasn't always been like that for me. There was a time when I was very disconnected from myself. So I won't bore you too much with my story, but I was born very open psychically. I was born premature under very difficult circumstances, and I must have come in without any kind of filters. And so it was a very traumatic early part of my life. I didn't fit in anywhere. I didn't feel that anybody understood me. And usually when you're that sort of person, and I'm sure some of you know this, then you usually take up things that aren't so good for you. So, you know, alcohol, smoking, drugs, sex, whatever, something to numb the feeling of not being a part of something else or not being understood. You get labeled, you get dismissed, you go to a medical profession, you get misdiagnosed, all of those sorts of things, you know. So, but I knew that there was something inside of me that was screaming to come out, and how to get that out, because then you have people around you who in their best interests don't understand you and suppress you. So it becomes this catch-22. You're not understood. But then when you want to pursue what you want to pursue, you get discouraged or told no. You also can be told that you need medication, hormones, therapy. Where have you abandoned yourself? Where have you forgotten your sacredness? So I personally took on a lifetime of seeking. I wasn't broken, and I knew that. I just was disconnected from the source inside of me. It kept calling out and trying to find your way back. And particularly in my time of life, back in those days, there was no books, no internet, no easily accessible way of getting answers. And to have any kind of phenomena, to sort of, to see things, hear voices, whatever, you would be very quickly locked away. So you really had to sort of be very careful who you shared things with, if at all. So you become very isolated in so many ways. And it was through understanding and coming into contact, first time when I was 7 years old, with an Indian teacher who taught me about yoga and a lot of Indian philosophy. And that started to make a shift in me then. I felt at some point a remembrance. And I followed that continually, looking at other things as well. I dived into other teachings throughout my life, but that was always at the core of everything that I did. And then when I got to my 30s, 40s, start looking after old parents who need to be put into care or they're not coping. We're not coping, looking after them. And so that's when I decided I threw myself fully into yoga, 100%. And when I say yoga, I'm not talking just asana. I'm not talking handstands and back bends and forward folds and things like that. But working into the pranayama, the breath work, the kriya, the transformation of kriya is unbelievable. Mantra and meditation that finally created this whole system, this whole science that allowed me to come home to my authenticity. So tonight, I invite you to show up fully for yourself, open. So you're turning up as a blank page. Whatever you know, whatever you've known, whatever you think, allow yourself to just put it aside for the moment. Tonight, I invite you to be raw, honest, and brave. And there's nothing that you need to fix or pretend or to hide. So just place one hand on your heart and one on your abdomen and take a slow breath in and a long, slow breath out. Do it a few times. And as you do this, allow your truth, the truth of your presence, to feel it inside your body. Allow yourself to feel safe, for you are welcome, the whole. I'm just going to chant a mantra before we move on, and it's one of my favorites. You can keep your hands there. If you know the mantra, you can join in. It's Om, Aim, Hrim, Klim, Chamundaye, Vichi. So it's calling in the fierce mother, the destroyer of all illusions. And this is what we are facing, is the illusion of who we are. Om, Aim, Hrim, Klim, Chamundaye, Vichi. 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 Now, slowly open your eyes when you're ready. Just to clarify for those who maybe don't know, mantra is a frequency. So, as you all know, sound healing is very well known nowadays, and it runs with frequency, and mantra is frequency. It's the science of sound. Science of sound. And the frequency has effects on our energy. So the mantra that we just chanted is a mantra that helps dissolve fear, negativity, delusion. So any delusions that we have about ourselves or illusions that we have, it helps to dissolve those. So let this be a sacred undoing. Let this mantra be a return to the self. It's an intention for this session. So, self-betrayal. It's a kind of hidden epidemic. I'd like to speak to something that most of us don't even realize that we're doing. And it's not always loud, it's not always dramatic, but it is devastating, and it's called self-betrayal. And it's the root of so much suffering for men and for women. So we betray ourselves every time we say yes when our whole body says no. So how many times you would have been asked to do something and you really don't want to do it, or you don't feel that you want to do it, but there's reasons that you just don't want to say no at the same time. You feel you owe the person in some way or that you should turn up for something. We are betraying ourselves. We betray at ourselves when we laugh at things that actually make us cringe. Somebody's joke that isn't funny, but we feel we need to laugh because everybody else is laughing, going along with the crowd, keeping the peace. Keeping the peace is a big one, especially if you're in relationships. We mute ourselves not to upset our partner. And many of us put up with a lot, stifled, choking, because we don't want to create a drama. We overgive, overshare, because we're terrified that nobody will like us. We want people to like us, so we overshare, we overgive. We even silence our truth. We don't speak out, even when we have very strong views about something, because we're afraid we won't be liked. We won't be part of the herd. We won't be part of the crew. We'll be isolated. Every time we do these things, we are betraying ourselves. And that betrayal plays out in very dramatic ways throughout our lives. It's a power leak. We are leaking all over the place our energy. And when we leak our energy, we become depleted. We become tired. We become uninspired. In yoga, we would say we lose our Shakti, which is our life force, our charisma, our magnetism. We become a weakened version of ourselves. Just let it sink in. Some of the ways you may have betrayed or may betray yourself. I'm guilty of all of those I just mentioned. We also betray ourselves when we abandon our body, our feelings, and our fire. Now, this is something really important because most of us have, at some point in our lives, had a passion that we wanted to achieve certain something, and it's been squashed. We either squashed it, perhaps parents talked you out of it, perhaps friends coerced you, what do you want to do that for? Perhaps your partner felt threatened and stopped you or prevented you, tried to prevent you from doing certain things that are actually at your core a deep passion. Something you always wanted to do. So as an example from my own personal experience, I always wanted to be an artist. So I used to say when I was young, I'm going to be an artist. And of course, the big thing was, well, you can, you'll never make money as an artist. That's only for people who, there's no future in it. But it was something I always wanted to do. But I was squashed at every level. Then when I got married, my husband sort of squashed me. That's just a hobby. It's just a hobby. You don't want to take yourself seriously. And then my mother died when I was 44. And the penny dropped because my mother never fulfilled any of her aspirations. She always did everything to please everybody else and squashed her own passions, her own life. And it came to me like a lightning bolt. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that person that doesn't fulfill what I'm here to fulfill, that doesn't live the potential that I have inside of me. And that's for all of us. We have a potential inside of us and we squash it at every turn because of fear, because of trying to be liked, because of not upsetting a person around us. We are squashing our light. We are dimming our light. We are putting out our fire. And we are silencing our magnificence. We are silencing our song. So I quit my job at that point, just like that. And I said, I'm going to be an artist. And my husband laughed at me. He said, yeah, like give it a few weeks. And, if you can't start selling some paintings, then you're going to have to find another job. So I did get a part-time job for 3 days a week in a cafe just to get money ticking over. And in that job, I actually met someone who wanted some paintings. They said, do you know anyone that does art? I'm looking for some paintings. Might be able to help you. So, cut the story short, I went with, back then was printed photographs of an album with paintings in it. And they looked at it and said, okay, I'll take you to the house and have a look and I'll show you the wall I want the painting on. So it started off, the conversation was one painting. By the time I left that afternoon, I had a commission for 8 paintings for that house. It was a mansion. And from that job, I came home and I said to my husband, I've just got 8 paintings to do for this person. And he said, I'll believe it when I see it. So next week, all these canvases start arriving and I did the paintings. And from that job, it went on and on and on. And it went on for several years until I morphed into something else. So the thought of wanting always to be an artist didn't last forever. But I achieved that. And once we open up to things, possibilities and opportunities present because we are clear, a clear focus, a really clear focus. If you sort of change in your mind every second about what you want to achieve or what you want, what your passion is, then it's not going to happen. It's like changing the GPS on your car every 5 minutes. You have to consistently stay focused. And I betrayed myself for all of those years. 44 years, I betrayed myself. And that's when I realized I'm never doing this again. I'm never betraying myself again, not to that extent. I stayed quiet when I should have roared. I performed roles, a wife, a daughter, a shop assistant, whatever, because that's what I thought was expected of me. And every time I did that, a part of me was dying. And a part of my authenticity and my power was dying. I was a stranger in my own body, disconnected from my own body. And that disconnection manifests in real pain, physical illness and pain. So, speaking personally, I had endometriosis, a benign lump on my cervix, infertility, a deep sense of not belonging in my own skin. I'm sure most of us have had this. We have health issues, things happening to us, and we wonder, why is this happening to me? Because we are not living in our truth. We are leaking out all over the place. It's like bleeding to death slowly. But it's your life force that is leaking. This society rewards men and women for betraying themselves. We are celebrated for self-abandonment, praised for how much we can endure. And we're seen as strong when you're silence, when we need to be silent. And we're called evolved when we suppress our anger. So there's a lot of that happening. It's sort of like a spiritual bypassing. You can't show your anger. You can't speak your truth. You can't insult somebody. That's not strength, that's trauma. That's programming, and that's sacred on our knees. So I want you to just, for a moment, close down your eyes again and take a breath in right now, a deep breath, and ask yourself, where am I betraying myself today? Now you can breathe just each time you take in a deep breath. Where am I betraying myself today? Where am I choosing fear over truth? Where am I choosing fear over truth? Where am I still hiding? Where am I still hiding? Just feel it. Let it land in you. This is where the healing begins, in the honesty. Where am I betraying myself today? Where am I choosing fear over truth? Where am I still hiding? Self-betrayal is the wound. The truth-telling is the medicine. And this space here now is your invitation to come home to yourself. You don't have to keep abandoning who you are to survive. You can reclaim yourself. You can choose loyalty to your own soul. Just keep going. You're just getting started. Slowly, whenever you're ready, come back into this space. So ways that we avoid or band-aid this self-betrayal is usually through addiction. An addiction is a prison, and it doesn't always look like needles or vodka bottles. Sometimes it looks like a wine every night to unwind. Scrolling for hours to avoid feeling. And this is one that's very, very common nowadays. And maybe I'm part of it. Staying busy, people pleasing, obsessing. Everybody's busy. Addiction is anything that pulls you away from presence. So just have a think for yourself. What is your addiction? Because it doesn't have to be the obvious ones, the gambling, the alcohol, the drugs. It can be so many different things. It's something that pulls you away from your presence. Being busy is a really big one. So I was addicted personally to alcohol. I was addicted to smoking, to noise, chaos, anything that kept me feeling away from feeling the pain inside of myself. And of course, it's then owning it. You know, this is the hard part because we can have these addictions, but actually owning them and sort of not being in denial about them. So it's like, okay, I have a drink of wine every night, but that's only a glass of wine. That's fine. Of course, I'm not judging anybody for that. But it's then like, what happens if you don't get that glass of wine? Is there an issue if you don't get that one glass of wine? Is there an issue if you don't get that coffee in the morning? It's little small things that don't seem like an attachment and addiction. But what is the emotional response when you don't get it? So it's easy to say, I'm not addicted. I could say, and I do say it now, that I was an alcoholic. And people would argue with that and go, no, you weren't. And I would go, yes, I was, because I could not go a day without having a glass of wine. So it sounds simple, it sounds harmless, but it's the emotional attachment to that one thing. If you've ever been a smoker, you will know the attachment to the next cigarette. Whatever it is, however small it is, it's still sucking us away from our truth. It's a numbing effect. It's a band-aid that's going to fall off at some point, and it's not going to do the job that you think it's doing. Because eventually nothing works. I know it. Eventually there is nothing we do that works. It gets to that point. It's running away. We're trying to run away from ourselves. We're trying to run away from our lives. We're running away from our emotional pain. We're running away from parts of ourselves because we don't want to feel that. We don't want to look at ourselves face on. And we run from silence. So the hardest thing in what I do is to get people to meditate. And meditation is the most powerful thing anybody can do. Even if it's 15 minutes a day, sitting with yourself in silence, no background music, no props, no fancy cosmic music going in the background. Just sitting with yourself. Because in that silence, you are hearing your own internal dialogue in a way that you never hear it any other way. And it's terrifying. That 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour a day. Now, the good news is the more you do it, the less terrifying it becomes. To start with is great agitation. You don't even want to sit for that long without scratching, fidgeting. And this is where the energy comes in, this distraction all the time. It's being able to sit in that stillness. So you see the ocean. You go to the ocean on a clear day The water's clear. You can see like 30 feet down to the bottom. It's beautiful. Nice soft swells. Then you'll go one day, it's windy, it's turbulent, ocean's chopped up, you can't see anything, it's filthy, it's sand and grit and shells and whatever. And that's our mind. When we're agitated, when we're in turmoil, when we're in chaos, no clarity. No clarity of thought, no clarity about what you want to achieve, what you want to do, who you are. So this stillness, and I can't emphasize it enough, the power of stillness to bring you back into your intention for yourself, that clarity. You hear it all the time. People go, I have no idea. I can't think. I can't see. I don't know what I want. Or the wanting is very superficial. And once you get it, then you wonder why you wanted it. We've all done it. You can think of like, oh, I want this particular car, and you put the money together, and it's all you think about, and you can't wait to get it, and you get this car, and you drive it around, and within a month it's sold. Everything new becomes old. Has been. So there's no satisfaction in that. It's always coming back to the self. And that's another form of addiction, is constantly buying, wanting things, new things all the time, filling that void from not looking at ourselves. So addiction isn't a weakness. So it's not about that. It's not about being weak, and it's about disconnection. It's about disconnection. That's really what it is. Everybody has it. So it's not like a shameful thing. When we are disconnected from our bodies, disconnected from our creative energy, disconnected from our breath, disconnected from our truth, we will reach for anything to fill that void. And our society proves that, because consumerism is at an all-time high. Buying to fill the void. Addiction is a symptom. The root is spiritual. The root is emotional. And unless we can address that root, we just keep swapping one addiction for another. We might have several addictions going on at the same time. We probably do. I know I have. So it's not broken through willpower. I can definitely attest to that. In fact, that only makes you go insane. But through remembrance. So for me personally, yoga, real yoga, that brought me home to myself. Not the pretty yoga on Instagram, not the headstands, not the fancy clothes, not just the physical practice of stretching to calming music. I'm talking about the ancient roots, the raw, wild, Himalayan type lineage of yoga that goes back before time. Kriya, which is liberation. Mantra, pranayama, asana as a ritual. So not just doing a yoga flow class, doing yoga, holding the poses and really going into the body, really embodying that practice. And meditation that burns through illusions. So for me personally, these practices helped me to come back to my body, to sit with my urges, whatever they were, breathing through discomfort and feeling what I had spent years avoiding, parts of myself that were ugly, that I didn't want to look at, belonged to somebody else. You see, the interesting thing is, quite often when we judge others, we have the same fault when we flip the mirror back. You don't have to be an alcoholic to be addicted. You don't have to hit rock bottom to be ready to make a shift. If you find yourself constantly avoiding silence, so you don't like your own company, you can't be present with yourself, then you're avoiding your own truth. So I'm going to ask you gently but clearly. This is just for you to answer mentally to yourself. What are you addicted to? What are you using to numb your sacred discomfort? Feel it. You don't have to fix it. It's just having this open, raw awareness. What are you addicted to? It could even be a TV show. It could be anything. The internet, porn. It could be anything. Sticky beaking at the neighbors. Shopping. And there's no shame here. It's not about shame. This is the most important thing. It's only about truth. And it's this truth that's going to set us free. So remembering the most important thing, you are not weak, whatever the addictions are. You are not broken, no matter what anybody says. You are not disconnected. And the fact that you are here listening, you are ready to return to yourself. You're ready to breathe, to feel, and to remember who you are. So now that we've spoken about truth, let's come back into the body where our truth lives. So I'm going to invite you to stop listening with your mind and start feeling with your body. So be comfortable, however that feels for you. If you wish to lie down, or you're in a position to lie down, or just sit and close down your eyes. And whatever your body asks for, listen to its response. Begin to feel the weight of your body on the surface that you are on. Feel the weight of your body on the surface that you're on. Let your shoulders drop. Release your jaw. Just jiggle the mouth around a bit. Let the jaw drop. Unclench it. And let your breath begin to find you. Nothing forced. Your breath is breathing you, just as you are. So we're going to take 3 sacred breaths together, slow and deep. As you inhale, feel your belly rise. As you exhale, soften everything. As you inhale, feel your belly rise. As you exhale, soften everything. As you inhale, Feel your belly rise. As you exhale, soften everything. Now bring one hand to your heart and the other to your abdomen. Feel the heat of your own hands. This is you returning to you. Breathe in to your abdomen, this navel center, your center of power, intuition, creativity. Feel that. Breathe now into your heart, your center of compassion and truth. Feel that. Now ask your body, what truth have I been avoiding? Now don't answer consciously, just listen or feel. What truth have I been avoiding? What truth have I been avoiding? What does my body want me to know right now? What does my body want me to know right now? What does my body want me to know right now? What does my creative source remember that I've forgotten? What does my creative source remember that I've forgotten? Om Aim Hrim Klim Chamundaye Vichi Swaha. Om Aim Hrim Klim Chamundaye Vichi Swaha. Om Aim Hrim Klim Chamundaye Vichi Swaha. Om Aim Hrim, Klim, Chamundai Vichi Swaha. Om, Aim, Hrim, Klim, Chamundai Vichi Swaha. Om, Aim, Hrim, Klim, Chamundai Vichi Swaha. Now feeling again into the body and repeat out aloud after me. I am coming home to myself. I am coming home to myself. I am safe to feel. I am safe to feel. I no longer abandon who I am. I no longer abandon who I am. I remember. I remember. Start to slowly bring movement back into your fingers, into your face. Let your body move in any way that it wants. If you wish to stretch, sway, sigh, anything that you wish to do. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Notice how your body feels. And notice if you feel anything has shifted, even if it's subtle. So this body is not your enemy. The body is not a burden to be managed. So the body is not something outside of ourselves that has to be dealt with. Your body is a sacred vessel. It holds your stories, and it holds the key to your freedom. It is your home. We live in a world that teaches us to abandon ourselves, to distrust our body. It actually goes out of its way to squash our intuition and our sixth sense. It asks us to second guess our truth and to outsource our power. But there is another way, an ancient way, a path back to the self that is rooted, embodied, and unapologetically sacred. So I call these the 5 portals of self-reclamation. So they're not concepts, they're practices, embodied choices, and fierce initiations. So the first one is awareness. Awareness is the first portal and the hardest to face. It's the moment you stop pretending and the moment that you say, this isn't working. So it's like I said earlier, the Band-Aids stop working. The extra glass of wine, the extra shopping spree, the extra thing you buy, it becomes more and more meaningless. It stops working. You become the witness. You start to see your own patterns, your numbing, and your self-abandonment. You start to see your trauma, your loops, and your lies. Because with all of this self-abandonment comes a whole stack of lies. Lying to yourself and lying to everybody around you. Saying yes when you mean no. Agreeing when you don't really agree. Not living your purpose to suit somebody else. And you choose not to look away. This is the moment the spell breaks, when you can look at yourself, identify some of the loops and the practices and the addictions and the habits and the play out that you have. That's the moment the spell breaks. You suddenly see, whoa, this is what I do. You have often hear, and you probably have done it yourself, the statement, why does this always happen to me? Because we haven't identified what it is we're doing that's creating that to happen. And it's screaming at us to identify it because that's why it keeps happening. So what truth are you ready to see, even if it hurts? This is a hero's journey. So truth is a holy frequency. It cuts, it liberates, and it burns through all illusions. Truth isn't about being nice. It's about being real, owning your no, owning your yes, and owning your story. You don't speak your truth to convince anyone. You speak your truth because you deserve to hear it out loud. So ask yourself, where have you silenced your truth? To stay safe, to be liked, to be loved? How much of our life are we hiding behind agreeing? So you can't think your way home. You have to feel it. You have to feel your way home. So this isn't a rational thing. It's like we said earlier, willpower, forget it. Forget your willpower. It's about awareness and then feeling. It's starting to tap into your intuition, to your gut feeling, to the tightness in the throat, the tightness in the chest, the sickness in the stomach, something that makes you squirm. Embodiment means you stop running from the discomfort and you stop living from the neck up. You begin to trust your body, its pain, its pleasure, and its wisdom. Our body is a wisdom. It's telling us constantly what's happening in our lives. So when something happens, a health problem, that's our body saying, hello. It might start soft and we ignore it, and then it will become a scream. I've done this, done it myself. I'm still doing it myself, not listening properly. And this is where the real work is. It's not by bypassing pain, taking the next painkiller or whatever. It's alchemizing it through presence. It's really showing up for yourself. What's happening here? What's happening to me? Why is this happening? But not in a victim mentality, in a proactive mentality. What part of your body are you ready to come home to? And devotion to yourself. It's not about being disciplined. It's about being in a sacred relationship with yourself. So when you can develop a sacred relationship with yourself, then everyone else is a bonus. But you don't need anybody because you just are so happy in yourself. You have people in your life because you want them there, not because you need them there. This is really important because quite often we become a little desperate and we put up with all kinds of horrendous situations. And then we lie to ourselves, we lie to the person that we're in the situation with. So this is a daily practice. This is your non-negotiable if you want to change these parts of yourself. Your ritual, your altar, your breath, your mat, not because you should, but because you refuse to abandon yourself anymore. And it doesn't matter what this looks like. So it's not about what I say, it's about what makes you happy and makes your heart sing. So it could be dancing naked. It could be chanting mantras. It could be lighting incense. It could be journaling all about your sexuality. It could be bringing you back to the sacred. Whatever it is, rolling on the grass, whatever it is, it's devotion. Whatever it is that makes your heart sing. It might be turning the music up loud and dancing crazy. It might be running outside in the rain, naked and running around, as long as no one can see you. Whatever it is, do it with devotion. It's like this love for yourself. What would it look like to make yourself a sacred commitment? What would it look like to make yourself a sacred commitment? So this is really important. Power is not dominance. Power is presence. It's your life force. It's your truth and it's your sovereignty. You reclaim your power every time you say no without guilt. You reclaim your power every time you walk away from what dishonors you. Every time you choose healing over habit. Every time you walk away from anything that devalues you. True power is quiet. It doesn't scream, it radiates. And once you start to develop this within yourself, it starts to come out of your auric field. So you're no longer attracting situations that are going to leak you to the same extent. It'll still happen, but you're more aware and not to the same extent. So where have you given your power away? And what would it feel like to take it back? So these 5 portals, they're not steps, they're spirals. You move through them again and again as you return to yourself. Not to become someone new. That's not possible because you're already there. It's remembering and coming back to who you really are, who you've always been. It's like if you have a old, say old, that's not quite the right word. Talking about myself. If you have, I'll say a beautiful brass vase and it's been neglected. It's been sort of just sitting there and it's been used for flowers and whatever, and it's collected dust and it's got a bit of verdigris on it and it's very tarnished. That's us. So when we start to go in and we start to polish it up, we start to clean it up, then it becomes its radiant, authentic self again. So the vase was always the same. It's just been abused, ignored, not valued. As soon as we start to value it, put it some tension back into that, it starts to radiate and show its true beauty again. So awareness, truth, embodiment, devotion, and power. These are the words to anchor into your body to become your map. So we've journeyed so far quite deep. We've cracked opened some stories, some pain, some projections perhaps in a very short time. It's only a taster. Now it's time to turn inward into the body again, into our creative center, into our truth. So it's not about thinking, it's about feeling. It's about letting your soul speak without interruption, without filters, and without needing to be right. So I'm going to give you some time with this. If you have something to write on, to write out your answers and allow it to come. So otherwise, after this session, I will allow, because there's some people that couldn't make it that wanted to. So everybody here will get access to the recording, so you can go back in and revisit. So the first one is, where have you betrayed yourself in order to be accepted, loved, or safe? Where have you betrayed yourself in order to be accepted, loved, or safe? And what is the cost of that betrayal? What am I numbing, avoiding, or escaping from, and how? What am I numbing, avoiding, or escaping from, and how? What would it feel like to stop running? What does my wild, untamed self want me to know right now? Listen to your own inner voice. Let that voice that has been silenced arise. Even if it comes out messy, even if it doesn't make sense, let your inner guru speak. Let your pen move. Don't stop. Don't edit. There's no right or wrong answer, only your truth, and your truth is sacred. So I'm going to let you write for a moment, or just close your eyes and let the answers arise within you. Now, when you're ready, you can always revisit those questions. Slowly close your journal or whatever you're writing on and place your hand back on your heart and your other hand on your abdomen, and just feel what's alive inside you now. You've just listened to yourself, and that's the beginning of the healing. Slowly release. So we're going to now, we've got 15 minutes roughly left, and I'd like to invite anyone who'd like to share anything to unmute themselves, and we can have a few moments discussion if that feels right. So if anyone would like to share or ask any questions or anything, please unmute yourself. And Adam's unmuted.
So one of the things that I find really interesting is that word that keeps coming up around shame,
Mm,
and that we give ourselves permission to explore all of this within ourselves, but I can't help but still feel that shame.
okay.
And it's interesting. It's sort of been a lifelong journey of shifting that
Mm,
and then returning back to it
yes.
and then shifting it and then returning back to it
Yes.
because of the stories that we're told and the stories that we tell ourselves.
Mm,
So even when you were saying that word, when you were saying, there's no shame, I could still feel that.
yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's obviously something that it's going to still be working with for
Mm,
you. It's something to go really deeply into. And I think, a very intentional practice working with that
yeah,
would be, it's probably something that hasn't had like a full sadhana working on that.
yeah. That's what I feel. I feel like it hasn't really had the light fully shone on it.
No, no, no. It's a bit like a splinter that's been there a very long time and it's kind of grown over, but it's still pressing in there.
Yeah,
And yeah,
yeah. Because
yeah,
it's sort of what I feel like I do most of my work around,
yeah,
but it's still there.
yeah. Or just saying like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's that avoidance thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's knowing it's there, but it's the avoidance of facing it.
Because what is it to live without that?
Yeah. Who
That's
are you with? Yeah,
because it's part of the story is, yeah, oh wow.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
The identification with that is
Mm,
almost a comfort,
yeah,
is almost an addiction in and of itself, then I suppose.
yeah, for sure. That's
Story.
you've taken it as part
Yeah.
of who you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's something to also journal about,
Yeah.
what we're just talking about now, really go into that and go into sort of the automatic writing of that.
Mm.
And as we said, don't worry if it makes sense, it doesn't make sense, but really create the intention for the shifting of that
Yeah.
and be prepared for whatever comes up.
Mm.
And just, it's a hero's journey. Just do it.
Yeah.
And you'll probably find it's not as big an elephant as you think.
No, it's not.
I know. Thank you. That's
Thank you.
amazing. Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing. Anyone else like to share anything? Yeah, Becky?
So, um, sorry, I'm really tired. It's past my bedtime.
That's okay. It's past mine too, actually.
Um, mine is to constantly be in this scarcity loop story because essentially that's all I've grown up with. And
Mm,
as much as it's not comfortable for the ego, it is comfortable because it's all we've known. And I don't know how to get out of it.
yeah.
And it's just that I don't know if it's hiding away per se because I do love my own company. I live on my own. But there's also where I've been hiding, not with everyone, but with a lot of people, the speaking with and identifying spirits and where they've attached themselves to, I think I've touched on this with you when we had a chat the other week, where they've attached themselves to children and stuff. And
Mm,
in today's, society, I say with inverted commas, they think that's all woo woo and stuff. And it's just like, oh, just go send them off to the doctors and then to a psychiatrist. And it's like, well, actually, no, that's just ended their life if you do that. And, it's
mm,
recognizing that, no, these are spirits that have then attached to children or people to communicate, and that I've helped them fully cross over and then free the children and stuff and free the houses.
mm.
I haven't been able to voice that to too many people because, it's woo woo and oh she's
Yes.
creepy and it's all the like where I do the Reiki and stuff. So many people are like, oh no, that's against the religion. And it's like, it's not. You have light. That's called energy. Just because you can't see it in the body. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm becoming more confident in opening up my gifts, but there's still that hidden part. And like I say, there's still that whole scarcity story that's not comfortable, but for my ego voice, it's all we've known. So
Yes. Yeah. No, I understand that. Completely understand. I still have my father's voice in my head, talking about, certain things because I have a scarcity thing as well. So it's like, and I can hear my father's voice all the time, setting the stage for that scarcity. So it's a programming, definitely. And, I work on it, but there's another part of me that sort of has got to a point where I don't care anymore. But we need to live. So that's,
and that's
that's,
where it's like, how do I get out of what the illusion of the reality is showing
mm.
and trust that, you
And
know,
it is about trust too.
yeah,
It is a lot about trust. Like I've found for myself personally, as I've surrendered that sort of clinging on to that story of that, and also my opinions around that, which I've done a lot of work on, and come to a place of just surrendering and getting on with what I'm meant to be doing,
yeah,
it's falling away. A lot of it's falling away.
yeah.
It's like when you focus on something negative, then that negative is going to happen.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to keep the trust that I will magically get some bookings for tomorrow and Friday so that, rent and stuff can be paid.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm trusting in that and trying to focus on that, but I'm also trying to, as you say, surrender because then it doesn't repel it, if that makes sense. And
Yeah. Of
that's
course.
a constant battle. So
Yeah, it can be a sense of there's a fear in that too, a lot of fear in that as well. But that's okay. I mean, we're going to work when we do the course, the career course, we'll work through a lot of that.
yeah, which I'm very excited about. So
Yeah, we'll work through a lot of that. So that's fine. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. Anybody else like to say anything before we move on? All good? Okay. You can always message me. Yes, Christine.
I think I've never understood being in your power before until you explained it like that. And I've always cringed a bit and not trusted it and thought, oh, it's a real, rah rah,
Cliche.
reactive, defiant thing. I'm going to step into my power,
Yeah.
But when you put it like that, it was something I could trust because
Mm.
you know, if you're there and you're
It's who you are.
radiating power, then
Mm.
how could that be detrimental or to you or to others near you? And
Mm.
if other people near you are being, aggressive or overly assertive, then it's almost just a bit like a bit of nebulous background music almost because, you know, I
Yeah,
don't know how to put the words, but I've never understood it before. So I really appreciate you
good.
helping me to trust that for the first time.
That's
So,
fantastic. Thank you,
yeah,
Christine. I'm really great. I'm really grateful for that because it is, I feel it's really important because I think a lot of people don't understand that. And it's not about being aggressive and it's not about being a know-all and it's not about, you know, standing up and claiming, your power. It's just about being in your own integrity, having that integrity and believing in that and then just not leaking what your integrity is for the sake of appeasing others. I think that's a really important thing. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else before we move on? We're just about to close. All good? Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your sharing, and not just for you, but for everybody else who's here, for anybody else that may listen to this recording at some point. Or for anyone that's here and is not able to just express that, it's important to be able to do that. So, as we are coming to the close, we've got, 4 minutes. So, we could have done a lot more. So, just so we know, thank you. I'm very grateful for your presence here this evening. And I'm very grateful for your courage and for saying yes to yourself, for turning up. So this wasn't just a class, it wasn't just an invitation, it was an initiation into your truth, into yourself. And I honor every part of you that showed up here this evening. So whatever arose for you tonight, allow it to keep arising. Don't shove it back down. And whatever may have cracked open, allow it to keep breaking and cracking, because this is opening up to your truth. So there is more if you feel the call, and the path does always continue. If you feel that you would like to know more, then I have a few things that I have to offer for you moving forward. So if you'd like to go deeper, I have some offerings, and it's something just to think about. Obviously, you might want to just take this and that's fine, and you can reach out to me at any stage. But just because you have shown up here tonight, the first thing I would like to give as an offering is I have Himalayan Kriya yoga teacher training. So you don't have to be a yoga teacher. It's for people, it's for just anybody who wants to transform their life in a really potent, powerful way. It's 60 hours training. It's certified with Yoga Alliance International through my academy. And it includes initiation into Vedic meditation, where you receive a personal mantra. And then it goes into the Kriyas, which are different practices that break through habitual patterns of behavior. So Kriya is the opposite of karma. Karma is entrapment, and Kriya is liberation. So this is for anybody that wants to wake up, basically. And it includes breath work, power of embodiment, all of that sort of thing. So only for the people tonight. The course is normally full value is $1,900, but I'm offering it here tonight for $1,200. So that's, I know it's a lot. There's payment plans available, just to let you know. There's also a private mentorship or immersion. So if you feel you'd like to work just one-on-one, there's the mentorship program, which goes for around about 3 months. And in that 3 months, you have one-on-one session every week for an hour. And there's also a Zoom call midweek if you wish. There's also unlimited classes, fire ceremony. It's normally $999 for 3 months. But for those tonight and only for 24 hours, it's $555. So that's working with me one-on-one intensively for 3 months. The third option is coming up in August, the Return to Self full day masterclass. So this is a full day. It's in person at my home studio, where you can dive much deeper into releasing self-betrayal, opening up to your truth, your calling, your purpose, and your magnificence, the magnificence of who you are. This course is going to be on August the 3rd, which is a Sunday, and it will run from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. The course includes integrative Himalayan sadhana practice, which is Kriya yoga, breath work. It's going to have wisdom discussion, guided meditation, sound healing, fire ceremony to close. Lunch will be supplied, and it's a really good opportunity to release what doesn't serve you. The full price for that is $250. So I'm keeping everything as reasonable as I can. The discount is only for the next 24 hours, and it's $150. You can get that. That's on my website, or you can contact me. So this is fierce, tender, and very transformational work. And it's my honor to walk with you every step of the way that I can. So it's not a trend. It's a spiritual fire. And it will charge your life if you let it. So it's time to close. I want to thank you all again from my heart. So just bring your hands to your heart center, close down your eyes. Rub your palms briskly together, activate prana. Bring the palms to stillness. Place the palms over your closed eyes. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, release the hands over your face, your throat, back to your heart. Back to Namaskar. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat, Jai Ma Kali, Jai Ma Chamunda, Jai Ma Kamakya. Namaste.